Hello, hello. This is Irene with SaugaTalks. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you. Just to get it out of the way, follow SaugaTalks right here, right now. Don't waste a minute. Okay, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, and major podcasting platforms because you don't want to miss our conversations with fascinating people in tech. And today is fabulous day because Eve Molkers is here. Eve, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Irene, and thanks for the invite and having me at the Saga Talks.
Absolutely. The pleasure is mine. It is because everyone is talking about AI and analytics and data nowadays. It's at least in my bubble. Okay. Probably in yours because our bubbles sometime overlap. So, anyways, Eve, you are the right person to discuss these topics because you're a strategist, you're a data specialist, but on top of that, you're industry analyst and very prolific blogger. We will ask people to go and check out the fabulous helpful materials you have on your website and what you do. So Eve, let's start with a tangible example you shared with your audience. I was so captivated by that example. You lately put some time into researching how Spotify is using data analytics with AI to really extract value from their data. And we're all Spotify fans and users. So can you please, from professional standpoint, what do you see interesting happening with Spotify and how we can all learn from it?
Well, it's about what they do with the data is bringing value to your audience, people, the consumers of the platform. That's where their take is and how they try to optimize that you enjoy the platform, that you enjoy music in a better way. Find these little gems that you back in the days you had to crawl through all the crates and find the vinyls or whatever. You had to listen, and this is in a different way how you're consuming music, and that's so interesting that you can do that with data. So they can build your profile and suggest you some music that is really on your taste or maybe in the mood of your day. So I'm already going a bit further on what they could do with the data by just analyzing your behavior, how you consume the data, when you consume the music, and what you really like. But another interesting by researching how Spotify is using the data is how they use the insights of the listeners, of the audience, to help performers as well to get connected to their audience. So they're helping them in building the community and getting a better matching towards the people that would consume that music. If you have a radio station, it's much broader on how you can present the music to your audience. And you tune in to a radio station because you like the presenters, because you like the music, what they're broadcasting, but you don't have that direct match. You have that now these days with the digital footprint. And I think it's a few years ago now that I think of it. I was talking to a company that was analyzing all the digital streams from the radio stations, all the digital radio broadcasting in US. So you could fine tune, in fact, the music that you are broadcasting to your audience, but as well at the same time, of course, all the commercials that you're presenting to the listeners in that. So it's on various levels that you can use the data to optimize, on one hand, the commercial aspect, but on the other hand, as well, how you are enjoying the platform and consuming the music.
Absolutely. Have you looked at some of their predictive models, all algorithms really underneath of that hood in Spotify? The reason I just want to hear this because this is fantastic example that everyone can relate to. And if you're in more traditional industry, if you're not a media or even consumer business, right, there's so much to learn there. I advise everyone to check out Eve blog because it's right there with all the details. But Eve, what are your comments on the predictive actually tools and functionalities they're using?
Well, in a predictive way is looking at what type of music could you maybe enjoy in the future? How much time would you spend on the platform on certain days and so on and so forth? And identifying some trends in music. Maybe there is a new stream, a certain type of music that gets more attention. Maybe a certain performer, a singer, producer that gets more attention. So these are all interesting takes where you can bring more in the same way. And I think what they all do is as well not to to produce the same type of music or propose the same type of music to you as a consumer. That's the big risk what you had back in the days. There was an artist had a big hit, so the second and the third and the fourth episode or the song that they produced was in the same way, because they wanted the producers to produce kind of same music in the same way, because they say, hey, this song did it. It was number one in the charts. Let's try to make a same type of song, but then you can get kind of, well, the music doesn't really sound authentic. It's not from the heart that it is. It is too thought through in such a way. And I think with the data, you can help that steer in a different way.
How some of the marketeers or leaders out there, digital leaders who are listening to us, how can they take this example and this experience into hopefully B2B model, all right? Because consumers is an interesting audience, but right, lots of technology companies really addressing B2B customers' pains. So,
well, B2B, in fact, it's people-to-people business as well. So if you can identify in which topic I'm interested in such a way, I can match my solution better to your problem space. And that's exactly the same how Spotify is doing that, but with music. For example, what we could do if I'm active, that's the only problem. I need to be active on social media, online. I need to leave a digital footprint, so I can show this is my interest in a certain topic. For example, in my space, I can say I'm interested in digital, data integration, in data management, in data strategy, in artificial intelligence, but what part of artificial intelligence? And they can identify that by analyzing which posts I like, which content I put online, the conversations I'm having, the type of conversations and the content of my conversation. And based upon that, you can identify that I'm very likely interested in a new AI-driven tool for marketing, for example. And by having that information of your community, of your audience, that's how you can tap as a B2B vendor into that space and position yourself and help the audience and the community as well, give more knowledge and visibility towards your product. And that's kind of my hobby project, what I'm doing right now, trying to identify my community. What is their interest? What do they want to see? What do they want to hear about data management? What do they want to hear and see and learn about artificial intelligence? And trying to find that content and give that to them. So building a more engaged audience and giving them more value, because they want to learn, they want to become more smart and do a better business. And that's if you can help them in achieving those goals, together with data, of course, that's my take. That's so fascinating that you can do that.
And you're golden. When you have that connection with your audience, right? Whoever you are, if you're single creator, if you're influencer, if you B2B, B2C, it doesn't matter, right? So we titled this talk, if AI and insights by the humans, of the humans, for the humans, okay? Can you comment, please, how that it is important to have human in the center of that thinking, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly. I think the models can help us and augment us in such a strong way with artificial intelligence. But still, you need to judge that the results you're getting is correctly. And building that connection, a model and an automated system can help you scale in such a way. But still, in the end, if you reach out and you need to explain something, it's the human connection that comes in. So for building scale, for doing things in an easier way, there you can use AI, there you can use the automation part. But in the end, Irene, it's you and me talking. We're helping each other out. We're having that nice discussion. And I think it's still about the human aspect, but using AI and models it's just a tool, like you're using your car to move from one place to the other place. And I think that's the most important part, where you see that artificial intelligence can be efficient in making our life easier.
Beautiful, beautiful. Easily said than done, Eve, all right? Because I'm diving into these topics, okay, on a regular basis. And still, I'm looking for some unconventional or maybe lesser known ways that organizations, companies, creators can leverage. Because data is used for competitive advantage, what you mentioned, but what are some of the less known ways to use your data?
The less known ways of using your data, it's, well, on one hand is using all the algorithms and the models to optimize your data as such. So on the metadata level, there you can optimize it. That's lesser known, and maybe people really into data management see that already happening with tools like data catalogs that help you in improving your data quality. That's one way. Other lesser known ways is really capturing all that information about the digital footprint. I mean, a great example is one of the companies that are capturing all the company information and the news about a company to get signals if it's maybe interesting to invest into certain companies. So they're optimizing portfolio management based upon, I think, more than 80 signals what they can capture on the movement on the market. So that's a really interesting use case for me to see how they do that, based upon, I think they read about 6 million content pieces a day and analyze that and bring those insights based upon 8 KPIs, so that you as a portfolio manager, for example, can optimize your portfolio and see which companies you should invest in and where the risk is when these companies maybe go in the wrong direction.
So where is this, in your opinion, where is this happy balance between the intuition and creativity and human innovation with all the hard, tangible, analytical insights?
Well, you put it right. It's about the decisions in the end. So you need to understand your own business. What are the business goals you're trying to achieve? And based upon that, you go and find the data that suit that decision. So you can take that decision fact-based, as we call it. And then the gut feeling comes from, where do you think, as a person, as a business leader, as a CEO of a company, where your company should go? And maybe it's a gut feeling that you think, hey, this is a great opportunity. But if you can put the data next to that to say, hey, for example, I'm targeting these type of clients, but there are no clients like these on the market, so it's going to be hard to build a solution to fulfill their problem space as such. So I think it's the right balance of understanding the context and the industry where you're in, and based upon that, interpret the data. So if you get a suggestion to invest in a certain company or to go into a certain geography, and the data shows this is not the right way to go, then you should think again and balance that out on, am I wrong or is the data wrong? And if you can get that verified and you can make sure that your data is really of the quality that you expect it to be, then very likely your insights of what you thought of was the reality is wrong.
Here we can definitely refer to your blog, to your social media presence. So I encourage everyone to follow Yves, because he's constantly online. He is sharing wisdom from his experiences, as well as industry news and industry articles. So please follow Yves. I'm a big fan. LinkedIn, Twitter, somewhere else, Yves, you want to send our audience to?
Well, like you said, LinkedIn, Twitter, 7wdata.be, which is my blog, and on YouTube as well, the 7W Data channel. These are all the places where people can find me online.
Perfect. All right. So to me, nowadays, the most interesting topic for me, and again, I'm sure you have your feet wet in it as well, generative AI. All right, generative. So Are you playing with ChatGPT? Or do you think businesses will leverage ChatGPT functionality to the fullest soon? Because the growth is tremendous, right? The number of users, number of students, number of teachers, number of all kind of professionals. So what's your take on ChatGPT and other generative technologies?
Yeah, I would call it more in the generative AI space and the large language models, where I see definitely there is a way, there are different ways where it helps us in becoming a better human. For example, I'm using ChatGPT to do copywriting because I'm not such a good writer, and it helps me in a certain way. But still, I look at the outputs and then I judge for myself, with this, how I would write it in such a way. That's one take on it. It's a different way of learning as well. Before, you had an issue and you say, I want to know about something about gardening. How do I treat my law? And then you go and search on Google. You find a lot of publicity online, and it's very hard to judge which is the right information that helps you in solving that problem. If you ask that question to ChatGPT, you get into a kind of conversational aspect, and you're learning from in a different way than you do that from search results. And I think the contextualization of all the information is there, and the way how you engage with content, that's a different way how you can take benefit from ChatGPT and large language models. Other examples, what I've seen is as well vendors that are building data management solutions and build a data warehouse or a data lake in a simple way. I call it like that, a data platform where all the business information is upon. They have a ChatGPT enabled conversation as well. So they apply the large language model on top of all the business information. And you can ask, for example, which are my most profitable customers? Which geography is for me the most interesting geography where I should do business? And in a few minutes, you get the answers. And that's really amazing how you can get all that information value out of all your data just by applying the large language models on top of all the information what you already have. And definitely, I think there is a bright future for generative AI, large language models, but we have to be very careful. Just recently, the other day, I read an article, and now I finally understood why they want to put the brake on the development for AI for the time being. Because AI will allow us to be more productive, will allow us to produce at a lower cost. It will, for example, allow companies in the petro industry to even get more fuel out of the earth. So the resources from earth will become even more scarcer. So all that economics around that, having even a harder stress on the resources what we have available on earth at a lower cost, our consumption will rise. So I don't have to draw a picture with that will stress our complete economy systems, as well as the scarce resources what we do have available. And now I finally understood where everybody is so afraid of going at the speed as AI is developing right now, and by putting a bit the brake on it and just reflecting of what the impact will be by using AI and becoming more productive, doing it at even higher scale. And this is really the risk what is now by the speed of development of AI and large language models.
We're definitely living through fantastic, revolutionary, overused word though, times where I can only compare it to the early phases of internet, or even Google. Remember how we used to search, and when Google came up, right?
Yeah.
So this changes everything. So yes, with caution, with lots of limitations, and just understanding where we're going with it. But we woke up in different world, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think the biggest change here is the speed at which we do it. We always keep referring other people or referring back to the days when Ford invented the productivity, the the way of how to produce cars. In the beginning, it was one person or a team of people that built one car, and he introduced just the belly and the production way of creating cars. And he was able to, I think, in 1 minute and a half, he could get a 40 out of the factory. So that was already a big scale compared to how it was done before. And if you look at AI and how that is going, it's at an even a higher scale that we can increase productivity in these days. So that's, I think, that's on top of where we are. And I think in a very unbalanced world, what we are right now, that's the big risk what we're looking against.
Yep, let's take a step back for a moment here, because we love shiny examples. Okay, we are fascinated by what's possible. All right, that's what makes us human, right? That was motivates us, right, and inspire for sure. And yet in the industry, okay, how many companies that did not even go through digital transformation to the fullest? All right, how many people still reading static documents, okay, having 24 screens in front of them and going line by line almost, okay? So we don't hear about these stories a lot. But what kind of pains you seeing there with data proliferation, right? With systems not connected, with very lots of legacy applications in many of those companies, okay? That's their day and night. So what do we have to say to the companies who just not transforming it?
Well, you need to see how your business model looks like. Everybody's afraid with AI coming in that a lot of jobs will be lost in a certain way, yes. And you need to be able to do another type of job or use the new technology to do your job. So there's going to be a big human transformation and change as well. So people need to adapt to a new way of working. You need to learn new skills. I don't know how many people are capable or capable, very likely they are, but how easy it will be for them to learn new skills and working in new ways. So change is always very hard for a human person. And if you're used to change all the time, you have to reflect and step back from time to time as well. Otherwise, you get into a burnout. So that's, I think, at the speed that we're developing and need to adapt, that's the big risk as well. And we need to be very careful and put a lot of more guidance in helping people in doing things in a different way, in a new way, and explain very much and very often what is the value of doing it in such a way. And I don't think it's for everybody and everywhere that you need to do that digital transformation. It has advantages, but let's reflect why we all are doing that and at the cost of what we are doing, all this digital transformation. So that's going to be the big and hard discussion what we will have at the cost of what are we doing all this digital transformation, and is it really worthwhile? For me, yes, in a certain way, yes, but we have to really keep the focus on optimizing life for all human beings on Earth.
You mentioned skills. So in your opinion, what are the key skills or competencies that data and analytics professionals should develop to stay relevant? Because we know that lots of Excel processing and even prior technology, right, may go away. So what's in this evolving field? How do you feel, people should acquire the new skills, and what are they?
Well, one important thing is critical thinking in such a way where somebody says, I don't know, this window is green, for example. Then you can say, why is it green? Oh, it's green because the light is green. And why is the light green? So you really have to keep on asking and understand why the window is green, for example. And that critical thinking is very important because if you understand, for example, how the data is produced and what the quality is of the data, then you can build trust into that. And what I see very often, it's a way of how you can ask these questions. If I ask you 2 or 3 times same type of question, trying to understand what you just explained to me, we as a human being, I don't know why, but we get annoyed in a certain way. So why do you keep on asking? You're annoying guy. Just stop your annoying questions. Yes, but I do want to understand what you are meaning, just to provide the best solution and the correct solution, and not to iterate and come back again and again afterwards. So for example, if you say just build me a bike, and I say okay, it's fine, and I don't ask the second question, which type of bike? Do it needs to have 2 wheels, 3 wheels? Are you maybe disabled? And do you need something else on the bike? And all these interactions to make sure that I'm building the right bike for you. This is really being critical about it, and critical not in a way to be annoying or just being picky on somebody, or just trying to ventilate, hey, you don't understand what you're trying to ask. No, you have to do that in a certain way where it's balanced out. No judgment, but really back and forth and balancing out on understanding, okay, you want a bike, why do you want to have the bike, what do you want to do with the bike, and then really building that in the right way. So critical thinking is a very important way of going around with new insights, what you learn, with new data. For example, back in the days you were studying and all the knowledge in the books, we granted it for being correct in such a way. And you weren't really allowed to ask questions about this. So for example, if you were studying and your teacher explained you something, not so many teachers wanted to go into discussion because you were time consuming and they couldn't give you all the courses that they had in their mind or was planned to give to you. So that interaction in trying to understand and learning from each other, that's a very important skill to go forward.
Let me ask you about some common misconceptions, okay, or maybe even myths about data and analytics, all right? Do you ever come across those, and how would we debunk them?
Misconceptions about data. Well, we think we can know everything about the data. I think that's a misconception. Another misconception is all the data quality needs to be 100% correct. And that's not always the case. You need to understand how correct does it need to be to achieve the business goals I want to achieve. So putting that in a certain context is very important as well. Working at all the aspects of your data management at the same time, no, you can take it step by step and easily building it up. If you start small and then expand on that, that's a very important approach as well. So misconception of becoming data driven is hard. No, it can be complex, yes, but hard. If you take it step by step and you know which direction you want to go, then definitely that is really the way to go.
We started with talk with Spotify example, okay? I think we have more. Any more examples? I'm sure there are tons, but any like good tangible examples we can leave our audience with on, yeah, how company extracting that value, how customers benefiting, how employees improving their life and their being.
Well, there are so many examples where you can benefit from your data and extract value from that. It's really what you want to achieve. It's as simple as for example, looking at your bank statements and categorizing that and understanding where do you spend your most money upon, and then thinking, can we optimize that? Can we spend less on that category? How can we improve on that? And that's the same for companies, trying to have a high level view of all your aspects, on your marketing, on your finance, on your recruitment, and all these processes, and then deep dive into the details to understand what is going on. And that's just in a very fluffy general way. For example, just recently a company called StatType presented me their solution, and I was so surprised by, well, this seems to be so logic to me. What they did is they connect to all the digital systems for startups like Stripe, like their marketing, like Google Analytics, and then combine that in an overview where you as a startup mostly are not paying attention because you're so busy trying to ramp up the business and focusing on your product development, but not on running the business. So the financial aspect, you keep you don't really keep track of that. So you're missing out on such a way. So they give the insights, and then you can understand how you're financially performing, how your product is performing, how many subscribers do you have, and really understanding how is that evolving from month to month, quarter by quarter. And it's simply connecting to the systems, bringing that in, and after 3 days, these startups have these insights. And for me, it was, oh yeah, okay, I understand. I did that because I'm a data guy, and I always want to understand from the data perspective what is really going on, not only by my accountant, because he has a different intent of doing my accounting because he needs to report to the government, and I have to pay my taxes on that. So that's the major intent, besides a little bit of steering, hey, you're doing well or not so well on your financial aspect with the business. So that's a different achievement, a different goal what you have by looking at your financial data.
Thank you, Eve. Thank you so very much for joining me today. Time is flying. I'm encouraging everyone follow Eve, because again, in the company blog, in social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, everywhere, please, there are wealth of knowledge there. In conclusion, a few takeaways for the audience, because we did talk about AI capabilities. We talked about our human creativity and how to use the data. So few takeaways for the audience, please.
Well, takeaways, you talked about AI capabilities. We talk about data capabilities, and I'm trying to understand and discuss that as well. Data capabilities is of what do your data needs to be capable of making decisions in your business, of achieving your business goals. First, think about that. What do you want to achieve as a business? And based upon that, go and find, do you have the data in-house? What do we need to do with the data instead of what are we doing to the data? With the data is trying to understand how many customers do we have? What are you trying to do to the data is, let's build a data warehouse, capture all the data, put it in a certain format, and I don't know yet what we're going to do with all the data. So that's not really building value out of your data. It's looking in the other way around, and then see on all the levels that you have that in a good place. So definitely capturing all the digital footprint from your organization and putting that into data, you definitely can take and become data driven and take the value out of your data to make better decisions, faster decisions with your company.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for your time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Irene.